Just putting a little spoiler warning if you haven't played this almost 12-year-old game but want to. Go do it before watching this video. Do it so you don't get any minor or major story beats ruining the punchlines to what are, arguably, mediocre and low-hanging attempts at humor. You've been warned.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Hello again. Did you like that last video? If you were one of the lucky few who saw the update video while it was still up, then yeah. That video went through production hell and I'm not proud of it, but my life was kinda crumbling ever since February, so... yeah, now I'm back in full swing. Yippee! Today's video though is sentimental, because it's been a long time since my last installment in this series, where I talk about the Arkham games, and it's definitely been way too long since I last reviewed/yapped about Batman Arkham City. Plus, it must have been around 4 to 5 years since I last played through Arkham Origins. Hell, it's been so long that we got a new one in the meantime, even if it's BR exclusive. Let's dig in then. And exactly because it's been a long time, let's start by recapping right where we left off last time in 2023. Arkham City. The game absolutely ruled, and it's slayed. It's slayed hard. 5 stars here, 5 stars there. It was universally praised by anyone who even saw the box art, and that, like I mentioned in the Limbo video, meant that more people were watching Rocksteady and there was a lot of pressure on them to finish up their trilogy. Lots and lots of expectation was bubbling up around the grand finale that was to come with Arkham Knight, sometime in the near future. But Rocksteady wanted to take their time with it. They wanted it to be special. They did not want to slack on the grand finale of their trilogy, not after back-to-back genius with Asylum and City, and definitely not with the ambition that they had for this project. Point is, it was going to take time, more than the 2 years between Asylum and City. So, what should Rocksteady do? A. Let the hype die down by not releasing anything in basically 4 years and risk losses, which is not good considering how much money was being pumped into Arkham Knight. Or B. Contract another game studio to make a spin-off game to keep the fans entertained in the meantime, since they were in for the long haul with this development period. Yeah, Rocksteady went with the logical option. It's B. They got another studio to make a spin-off. You win, Troy Baker. WB Montreal was a very new studio for the time. Remember that Arkham City just came out in 2011, and this studio was founded in 2010. And up until Origins in 2013, they only had a handful of titles under their belt. Cartoon Universe, LEGO Legends of Chima Deep Cut, and the Wii U port of Arkham City. So they were already kind of knowledgeable on how the Arkham games were supposed to be, at some level. Batman Arkham Origins released in October 2013 along with the spin-off game, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, which was a 2.5D Diet Arkham / weird Metroid kind of game that told the story set in the same narrative as the main game, just after it, serving as a kind of epilogue after you're done with Origins itself. Now, finally diving into Origins. It doesn't continue the plot where City left off, despite releasing after it. Instead, if you use your detective vision and read the title Origin, which is Latin for origin, and it means beginning. If we take this new information in tow, we could come with the conclusion that it might be a prequel tale, which means it doesn't take place after City, it takes place before that and Asylum. No, yeah, it's a prequel. We're getting a more inexperienced but just as competent, well, a little less competent Batman who is in his second year beating up the homeless.
Damn.
Still finding his footing and with zero trust from the police.
There is no such thing as a Batman.
The story this time around isn't that simple. Before Arkham Origins, the story boiled down to Joker is in place, defeat Joker, insert quarter. But Arkham Origins changed that. Now it's punch a guy who's doing blackface, but to punch him, you have to punch his 8 evil exes first. Alas, it isn't like the previous game since there is no Joker. Instead, get this. Christmas Eve. Black Mass has caused a riot in Blackgate. You go in, do the best you can to try and catch the mobster. He narrowly escapes, leaving you to fight off what looks like his personal guard, Killer Croc. After a scuffle, you take the upper hand and the curtain is revealed.
Wait till Black Mask's assassins get through with you.
What assassin?
Whoever wins is gonna be famous and rich.
Black Mask has set a bounty of 50 million on Batman's head, and 8 of the world's deadliest assassins are after it. So that's the game's premise. If you boil it down to a point, it's like the others. An Arkham story where, over the course of one night, you have to go on a wild goose chase, interacting with all kinds of characters as you try to stop the 8 assassins and the man after the hit, Black Mask. Goddammit, it's the Joker again. Just that this time, it's the first time he and the Batman meet. The first time that spark is born. And for the first time in this franchise, we get a little insight into whatever goes on behind the smile. We get to see how the twisted bond between him and Batman is formed in real time. We also get to see a lot of the Joker being Joker though. But don't worry too much about it. It's a comic book video game. The story plays like you expect it to 99% of the time. You get to punch a clown after all that, about 139 times. I've got to say, one thing I really appreciate from the game's story is that you get a different Batman this time around. Someone who's greener and not as experienced. One that's fueled by rage, angry, impulsive, and driven by vengeance. Someone who is in over his head.
So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head.
Jeez, sorry dude. We're getting a Batman that's more akin to Pattinson's Batman rather than Bale's, and I love that. We already had 2 whole games of the serene, stoic, and collected Batman who's calm even in the face of unstoppable odds and random comic book bullshit. I love the switch up. The temperamental Batman is really only seen in things like Year One and The Batman, but it's one of my favorite kinds of Batman. And the performance of this pissed off vigilante like you heard and saw like a few seconds ago is heavily carried by the talent of Roger Craig Smith. That name might ring a bell or two if you're a fan of characters like Ezio Auditore from Assassin's Creed, or Chris Redfield in Resident Evil Revelations, or Sonic. Oh, and he's also Belson from Clarence. Point is, the dude has range and talent. He absolutely killed it on his first outing as the Caped Crusader. And on the other side of the same coin, since I'm talking voice actors, there's the Joker's voice actor, Troy Baker. Oh, you don't know who Troy Baker is? Well, get cozy, we're gonna be here for a while. Troy Baker's an insanely prolific voice actor. Don't believe me? In the last week, I've heard him in 5 different games, probably in 20 different roles. Anywho, that's the game story. Concerning the gameplay, it really shows that WB Montreal have worked on the Wii U port of Arkham City, since, sorry Origins stands, it plays almost identically to Arkham City. The combat is basically the same, with one slight difference we'll get to. The traversal is the same down to the same grapnel boost, and even the detective mode crime scene is practically lifted from City, even if it's a little bit more advanced here. Another returning feature, that's this game's calling card too, are the shock gloves. They were a thing that appeared in the Wii U Armored Edition of Arkham City that WB previously made, like I mentioned, and the gloves work the same way in both games. You charge them through combat and then you activate the gloves. In layman terms, they're a win button. They ignore the needs specialized enemies might have, like needing to stun before a takedown or you must disarm them from the riot shield. You just get to beat ass. You're turning the tables even more in your favor. They're overpowered, but they're also a reward after beating one of the game's hardest bosses. So, shock gloves. They're not the only new gadget the game introduces, as a few sequences later, you're given the remote claw, which kind of works at this game's line launcher and as a funny way to terrorize the goons patrolling the Predator sections. Wait, Brooks? Goon? Brain rot is fucking destroying me, man. But you gain these two gadgets through the same method, beating their previous owner in a boss fight. Yup, we're talking about what you've been waiting for. I see you, I know what you like from Origins. The boss fights. The strong suit of this game. According to all of Reddit. I'll start by saying that yes, they do live up to the hype. We've had improvised boss fights done at the 11th hour back in Asylum, more concrete encounters in City, but WB have absolutely knocked it out of the park with the ones we've presented here. They're big cinematic set pieces. They feel way more than just any other combat encounter in the game. They're the payoff to entire sections of the game. Firefly is a hell of a reward after half an hour of sulking around and deactivating bombs on the bridge. Deathstroke is a wonderful test of skill to see if the players will make it through the entire game. It's a delicate dance between two people who are at their physical peak, a fight Batman hasn't fought until now, a fair one with an opponent as skilled as him. It plays out like it should, an intensive combat encounter. And Copperhead. This might actually be my favorite one. There's something so inherently supernatural from the hallucinations that Batman experiences thanks to the poison. They offer a platform to the darker parts of his subconscious to shine a light and show the fight within himself. And the fight itself with Copperhead is similar to another in Arkham City. If you know, you know. But it's the hints of personality that make it shine. Plus, I think she's hot. But among all of this glaze from me, I also have some criticisms I need to air. The story itself makes the point that all the assassins need to be stopped. But some of them are relegated to side quests, which, mind you, the frenetic pace of the story rarely gives you enough time to do if you want to keep up the pacing. Plus, most of these side quests aren't even that fun. Lady Shiva, she's this badass in the comics and I love her for that. But she's been boiled down to a diet jigsaw trying to test Batman's morality. And ninja skills, apparently. Or Deadshot, a brief little detective crime scene analysis to find he shut down a helicopter from 3,000 feet away, and then the boss fight. It's fun, if a bit slow and dull. And also concerning side quests, there are some familiar faces that come back like Mad Hatter, and oh, hello Enigma. Riddler is back and more annoying than ever. Plus, they bring back that really shitty find the tanks and destroy them side quest, which wasn't fun in Arkham City, and it isn't fun here. I really just have to hammer the point that the villains relegated to side quests feel like they're second or third tier, compared to the ones that you fight directly through doing the main story. If the point is to make them all seem as equally dangerous to Batman and everyone else, this is not how you do it. At least have them mentioned in passing sometimes when the police comes or anything. Have them call Batman out or beckon him to come over. Because my main problem with the side quests in this game is that they appear once when they're activated, and that's it. No reminder, no nothing. And with how intense this game's pacing is, I just tend to forget about them. Which is the last thing you want when someone like Anarchy is boasting about detonating bombs on important Gotham landmarks by sunrise or whatever. This game just isn't great at making the villains feel super dangerous. Deathstroke is posed by the trailer as the big bad that Batman will be facing off against in the game, but whether it is from when in the story he's in place or where his boss fight takes place, he feels a bit more like Penguin's henchman than anything. Even if the fight itself, like I already mentioned, is really good. Disregarding that and overall, the game is really cool. I'm gonna have to talk about it, right? Well, if you read the title and clicked on this video, I'll take a wild guess that you're a fan of this game. Either that or you need background ambience while you do something, which is fair as well. But if you're a fan of this game, then you're just waiting to see if I validate your opinion or not. You're waiting to see if you need to like and subscribe or dislike. Do subscribe though, that helps out. I'll say the game is good. It's really good. But here's the thing. It still has flaws. Many of them. It's not as polished a game as the others have been. So while I do admit that the game itself is overall brilliant and has really cool premise and moments, I don't subscribe to the idea that it's the best Arkham game. I don't at all. It can be your favorite, and that's the beauty of free will, but like I said in overrated, underrated games, just because the game had a mixed reception at launch and it's better than you remember, doesn't mean it's the best thing ever. We can appreciate it without enforcing it. So take off those rose-tinted glasses and admit it's not spotless. We all have flaws. People often compare this game's journey to Assassin's Creed Unity since, well, they were released within a year of each other, and they had similar arcs of going from buggy, janky messes to a cult classic within the fandom. But that's just the argument I'm fighting against here. The games are no longer underrated if everyone's praising them. Not Arkham Origins, not Unity. Syndicate is. Asylum is. Asylum's contributions to gaming are snubbed because of its age and the refinement these ideas got from the sequels. If these people can look over weird bugs and, to be frank, weird combat in Origins, they can overlook a simpler iteration of free-flow combat. It's probable this is happening because the fanbase has shifted to 14, 15-year-old Sigma funk kids, which makes sense. This game can be attracted to some because it has aura moments, and while I also dig it and think it's cool, I just kind of prefer when it has a good solid story as a base and that's it. That being said, I can appreciate this game for being the most experimental Arkham game in a sense. They decided to do something outside of the general canon the trilogy went towards and had a free playground to try out stuff. It might not always land or work out, but it helps to distinguish it from the others, which might be why people like it. It's the one with the most personality. WB Montreal even tried out multiplayer with this game. Sadly, it isn't playable anymore since the server shut down a while ago, but I gathered some footage from other people and it looked alright. Hero shooter stuff, which is a bit weird considering Gotham City Imposters was released like a year prior. Saturating your own market. Good choice, Warner Bros. Almost as good as patenting the Nemesis system, you bunch of pricks. I'll conclude by saying that this game is the best Arkham game in isolation. Like if you had to play just one, I'd recommend this one. It doesn't follow a grander narrative which City and Night do, and it's not as, frankly, primitive as some of Asylum's gameplay is. Plus, it's the perfect starting point as it's the canonically first game in the franchise. And as for any sort of personal message, don't expect a lot of Roth videos next year, I guess. It's not that YouTube burnout everyone talks about, I've just got a busy schedule. And while, for example, I can promise a video in February, I can't promise the next one until June at least. But I'll try. When I got free time, I'll get to work on them. Merry Christmas to you all, and Happy New Year. I've been Roth. And here's to a better 2026.